Welcome back to Midnight Korean Recaps. Today we dive into a 2012 comedy fantasy horror film titled Dark Shadows, with spoilers ahead. In 1760, the Collins family leaves Liverpool and sails to Maine, New England to expand their family empire, establishing a highly successful fishing business that allows them to found the town of Collinsport and build their grand estate Collinwood. And despite their growing wealth, the family head ensures his son Barnabas Collins is raised with the lesson that family always comes first. 15 years later, Barnabas has an affair with one of the family's servants, Angelique, who secretly practices witchcraft, and when she demands his love rather than just his body, he rejects her, prompting her to cast a deadly spell that kills his parents. Suspicious of dark forces behind the tragedy, Barnabas begins investigating the occult while falling in love with Josette Dupré. But Angelique, overhearing their declarations of love, grows jealous and uses her magic to make Josette leap from a cliff, and Barnabas jumps to save her, surviving only because Angelique has cursed him to become a vampire, so his suffering is eternal. Then she incites an angry mob to turn against him, branding him a monster, capturing him, and burying him alive in a coffin in the forest. Years later, in 1972, Victoria Winters boards a train to Collinsport after seeing an ad seeking a governess, choosing the name Victoria from a poster to conceal her true identity. And upon arriving at the estate, she is greeted by Willie Loomis, the caretaker, who explains that although the mansion once required 100 servants, only he and Mrs. Johnson remain. And at that moment, Elizabeth Collins Stoddard, the matriarch, meets Victoria privately to explain the job, mentioning there are just 7 people in the house, including staff, and that some areas of the mansion are unused. And after Victoria answers Elizabeth's questions with charm and sass, Elizabeth hires her. Later at dinner, Victoria meets the rest of the family: Elizabeth's brother Roger Collins, a loafer; her rebellious teenage daughter, Carolyn Stoddard; Roger's son David Collins, struggling with the loss of his mother and believing he sees her ghost; and Dr. Julia Hoffman, a psychiatrist ostensibly helping David, but spending most of her time drunk. And Victoria sympathizes with David, expressing her belief in ghosts, much to Elizabeth's disapproval. That night, as Victoria prepares for bed, she encounters Josette's ghost in the hallway, who warns her he's coming before circling the chandelier in the foyer several times and repeating the phrase, then falls the same way she did on the cliff and vanishes. Meanwhile, in the forest, a construction crew digging for a new McDonald's uncovers Barnabas's coffin, and upon opening it, he emerges free, immediately feeding on every worker to satisfy decades of pent-up hunger. Afterward, Barnabas makes his way to the mansion on foot, covered in blood and bewildered by the modern technology and clothing he encounters along the way. And upon reaching Collinwood, he finds Willie in the garden, hypnotizing him with his vampire powers to extract information, and also instructing him to clean him up before taking him inside. And as he attempts to introduce himself to the children, Elizabeth interrupts, asking to speak privately, expressing her suspicions about his identity and dismissing the magical myths surrounding the family as fairy tales. But Barnabas proves his truthfulness by revealing a secret room even Elizabeth didn't know about, promising to restore the family's glory with the hidden treasures inside. And Elizabeth agrees to accept him back, under the condition that he must not reveal he is a vampire. And the next day at breakfast, she introduces him to the others as Barnabas III, a distant relative from England. And as the family discusses business, he learns the Collins fishing empire is gone, the area now dominated by Angel Bay Seafood. And at that moment, Victoria enters, and Barnabas can't help flirting with her, seeing her resemblance to Josette. Meanwhile, in town, Angelique, now living as Angie Bouchard, and the powerful founder and CEO of Angel Bay Seafood, learns from her employees about the forest accident, rushes to investigate the open coffin, and then drives to Collinwood, exchanging barbed words with Elizabeth before Barnabas takes her aside, where she kisses him and reveals that Collinsport is now her domain, thanks to the fishing business she built to ruin the Collins, commanding the respect of the townspeople who have forgotten him, so no one would believe his claims. And after she leaves, Barnabas confides his worries to Elizabeth, who reminds him that despite his past suffering, he always fought with such determination that they had to lock him away, and now his family needs him to fight on in the present, inspiring him to devote all his energy to restoring the Collins' glory, selling some treasure from the hidden room to hire dozens of workers to renovate the mansion and rebuild the fishing company. And with the aid of an umbrella, sunglasses, and a hat, he manages to move about during the daytime without harm, though struggling to find a comfortable resting place until the servants bring his old coffin. And as the company flourishes, he hypnotizes Angelique's fishermen to switch sides while spending free time learning technology and bonding with Victoria. And one evening, after Roger sees him emerging from the secret room with treasure, Barnabas is confronted by Julia, who, suspicious of his behavior, hypnotizes him into confessing his secret before leaving to scold Elizabeth. But Elizabeth convinces her not to involve the police, pointing out Julia's fascination with Barnabas and her desire to learn more. And sometime later, later, Barnabas seeks Carolyn's advice on courting modern women, learning to abandon old-timey manners and mingle with cool people, leading him to join a hippie circle in the forest, sharing stories while smoking. And after the girls instruct him that women want love, not money, Barnabas feeds on them all to satisfy his hunger. The next day, Julia begins giving Barnabas blood transfusions in an attempt to cure his vampirism. And when Barnabas compliments her, she reminds him of doctor-patient confidentiality before getting on her knees in front of him to pleasure him, while Victoria and Barnabas continue bonding over conversations about the supernatural, and Angelique grows furious that the Collins company is regaining success, explaining to her confused board members that it is a matter of pride and carrying on her grandmother's mission to destroy the Collins family, then summoning Barnabas to a meeting to offer him the chance to sell his company to hers, which he refuses, prompting Angelique to threaten Victoria's life if he doesn't give her his love, and Barnabas gives in, making love to her across the office and destroying it in the process, only to realize afterward that it was a mistake and declare he cannot be with her, with Angelique vowing to destroy him, while he continues seeing Julia for transfusions, and Victoria begins having dreams of seeing Josette's ghost as a child, recalling how her parents sent her to an asylum for it, and upon waking finds Josette visiting her again, asking for help before disappearing. And at breakfast, Barnabas announces his intention to throw a ball for the entire town to remind them of the ruling family, with Carolyn advising that modern people throw happenings instead of balls, and giving him tips for the party. And when the night arrives, she discovers he had spared no effort even securing Alice Cooper to perform live, though Barnabas, not enjoying the music, leaves to wander the house, finding David manning the coat room and sending him away before climbing an outside wall to spy through a window, where he sees Roger being intimate with the employee and stealing wallets, and later meeting Veronica on a balcony, who confesses she has always felt drawn to Collinswood and sensed his feelings for her, and when he tries to kiss her, she instinctively pulls back, as it is the first time someone she loves her back, sharing her story of years spent in the asylum with only doctors and Josette's ghost as company, enduring painful treatments, but never losing her will, eventually escaping, and seeing the governess ad in the newspaper that led her to Collinswood, and feeling at home and in love with Barnabas, finally expressing it with a kiss, witnessed by Angelique arriving at the party and igniting her fury. And the next day, Barnabas visits Julia to intensify the effort to make him human so he can be with Victoria, only to discover she has been transfusing his vampire blood into herself to achieve immortality, rather than curing him. And as punishment for betraying the family, he bites and kills her, unaware that his fangs are growing, before asking Willie to take him out to sea to drop her body with a brick. Next, Barnabas finds Roger attempting to access the secret room with the treasure and gives him a choice: either become a better father to David or take some money Barnabas offers and leave the estate forever, and Roger chooses the money, shattering David's heart. And as the boy runs back to his room, he nearly gets hit by the disco ball. Willie is disconnecting from the ceiling, prompting Barnabas to use his super speed to save him, only to end up under the sun, which ignites him, revealing his secret to the entire family. As David and Victoria run away in shock, desperate and cornered, Barnabas seeks out Angelique, who refuses to lift the curse and forces him to admit he killed Julia, before proposing that they rule the fishing empire together as partners and lovers, or she will lock him back in the coffin. And when Barnabas tells her to go to hell and tries to leave, her employees ambush him with a coffin, which Angelique chains and loads into a van, driving it to a cemetery, after using a spell to make the Collins company building explode, leaving the coffin abandoned in a mausoleum, only for David, alerted by his mother's ghost, to discover it. While in town, people watch the fire being fought by police and firefighters, as Angelique plays a recording of Barnabas confessing to Julia's death, rallying the townspeople against the Collins. And when an angry mob, accompanied by cops, and Angelique arrives at Collinswood, Barnabas offers to confess only if they spare his family, but take Angelique with him, and as the sheriff attempts to shoot him in vain, Barnabas bites Angelique, cracking her skin to reveal her true monstrous nature. And as the sheriff disperses the crowd, Barnabas fights her with the help of Elizabeth wielding a shotgun, and Carolyn, who reveals herself as a werewolf. But they are no match for Angelique's magic, as she enchants the house to attack her own family, revealing herself as the cause of decades of suffering by confessing she killed Barnabas's parents, David's mother, and sent a werewolf to bite Carolyn as a baby, until David arrives, and guided by his mother's ghost, sends Angelique crashing into a chandelier that falls and kills her. And as the family flees the burning house, Barnabas bids Angelique a final farewell, as she rips out her heart and gives it to him, only for it to turn to dust. And with the house crumbling, Barnabas races to the cliff to stop Victoria from jumping, but she refuses, acknowledging that she is a human who lives in the light, while he will dwell in the shadows forever. And as she leaps, Barnabas jumps after her, biting her mid-fall to transform her into a vampire, making her immortal so they can be together. And the couple shares a kiss, while at the bottom of the ocean, Julia's body opens her eyes, revealing she too has become a vampire.